with our sort of web presence, our extra segment for the internet here. We're joined by Pudgy and Ken. We started having this discussion during the break about the NBA and their lockout, which might be a little more devastating to the league as a whole.
NBA, they're gonna lock out for a while, Chaz. I'm sorry, it's not gonna work. You're talking about money here, and the players and their egos, they're not taking a pay cut, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I wouldn't take. Would you take a pay cut if your boss said, "Hey, I'm gonna offer you $1 million a year," and then when he gets in trouble,
Yes.
say, "Hey, let me bump you down to $20,000 a year."
Well, I mean, the league minimum on the NBA is still pretty good, but you're right. There is a lot of egos in the NBA, and the issue is the NBA isn't as financially sound as the NFL. So the owners have more of an incentive to really make a drastic change, which is what happened with hockey, which is why they missed a whole year, only because the revenue just wasn't there.
It seems I heard this coming in today, that there's such a wide separation between the big market teams and the superstars, and the little market team and the big stars, which seems to be in every league, but that's so much so that it's getting top heavy, with of course New York now, Miami, Orlando a little bit, Los Angeles, maybe even the two Los Angeles teams, and not all the other small teams like Oklahoma City now, maybe Toronto, Minneapolis. Where is the push to have a better revenue sharing, a better separation, a better disturbance or distribution is the word. Distribution of the talent and the wealth.
Excuse me. I don't. The NBA was fine at one point. The owners made it a nightmare. It became superstar crazy. It became, this is my team, like we were talking about in the lobby. This is my team. This is my team, and I'm going to pay my superstar more than you pay your superstar just to keep them. What's happened is teams like Miami, those superstars, to say forget about it, we want to win a championship. So now they're all on one team. Now, once they win the championship together, what happens after that? They're going to go for the money. You're talking about LeBron James, who can be the first $200 million player. They're saying that's a lot of money. So, in the defense of the players, if they're going to give it, I'll take it. If they're going to give it, I'll take it to do what I do. No problem.
But the owner has that incentive not to hurt his team and hurt the NBA at large.
Absolutely.
If we're going to dole out $200 million for one guy, and there's not any other competitive balance or anything like that being put in, why would he do it? Maybe even a team is not even coming close to matching that offer to a LeBron James. Maybe New York's only going to dole out $80 million, but you're going to jump all the way up to $200 million.
Well, there's lots of teams that can't do it.
Yeah.
There's a number of teams that can't do it, but you want to sell tickets. If you got the money, you want to sell tickets. You want to pack that house every night. So whatever it takes to pack that house, if you got to spend money, if you slide over to the NFL and look at Jerry Jones, look what he built. It's Mecca.
Right. But I mean, with the NBA, once a player gets on that level of LeBron James, they can make more money off the court than on the court. So he is.
So now $200 million becomes $400 million.
Well, possibly. I'm just saying he's going to make more money probably in Miami, especially if they do win a championship, even though his salary is less than it was in Cleveland, just because with the winning comes all the other extra money that he wouldn't have gotten.
I think with the player, it comes to extra money, not with the winning. You don't have to win to get endorsements.
It certainly doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt, but if you're a great player, you could be on the crappiest team in the NBA, and you get endorsements. Yeah, look at the Clippers. Let me ask you guys this then, and on a more serious note. Does their endorsements have anything? Do you think saving the NBA and saving the lockout, and the answer to that is players saying, hey, I don't want to take the money you're going to give me, just give me a portion of that? Is that the answer?
I don't think it is. I think it's more about the owners being smart. It's more about being smart. Just because you can give a guy $200 million don't mean you should. Just like what I said with maybe New York giving, saying we can only offer you $90 million. Maybe that's the highest of the competing contracts and stuff like that. And you're going to jump up there to $200 million in Miami. Then what's the next contract going to be? Because if we're talking about LeBron James, he's still a young guy. If he only signs a contract, $200 million for 5 years, by 32, I don't know when the peak is, when your athletic ability goes down, but maybe the next contract, what's to say after that? And it's going to keep going up, keep going up, and then the next guy, a town over, maybe in Houston, says, well, he got this contract, and I've got 2 more championships, and 3, I led the stats in XYZ for the past couple of years. Well, then why don't I have a $100 million contract or this $1 million contract?
Yeah, the thing about the NBA is that the players have more power in that league than any other league. With the big 3, they pretty much decided where they were going to go. You saw Darren Williams essentially get the longest tenured coach in any sport to quit just because he had that power as a superstar player. And then Carmelo Anthony pretty much not only dictated that who'd be traded, he picked the team that his team would trade him to. And because there's only 5 players in the court, each player has so much power that the owners are kind of in a rough spot as compared to the other leagues in baseball and the NFL. They can franchise you. They can have a lot more tools at their disposal.
Well, they can do that in the NBA. They can franchise tag you. You know what? Baseball is the NBA with the bigger price tag. Baseball is just like the NBA with the bigger money bag. The sky's the limit in baseball, but it's not like that in basketball. Now they do have a salary cap, but in baseball, if you got it, pay it, and they definitely do that. But you don't hear so much about it in baseball. Why not? So does the MLB have it right? Or I think the answer to the NBA, I think the NBA has it wrong. I think the NBA should have set some parameters, either no salary cap or a real extensive salary cap, saying on each and every individual player, you can only pay them X amount of dollars at max for X amount of years. That would have kind of stopped some of this crazy stuff that was going on and the holdouts.
I think sort of the sad thing is that all of these, it seems like all of these leagues right now are going in for lockouts or the threat of a lockout due to the money. And we've got a serious one with the nation's #1 sport in the NFL. They're on the verge of having a lockout. We will see if it takes away from any games. The NBA is on the same thing. We'll see if they'll have a lockout, eliminate a season. I haven't heard anything about the Major League Baseball. I haven't heard anything about NHL. I just know the NHL has some teams that are in financial crisis. The team I think of is down in Phoenix. But bringing it back home here to Charlotte, we have 2 organizations, the Panthers with Jerry Richardson, who seems to be trumpeting the cause for the owners, during a news conference for Ron Rivera, and the Bobcats, to me, who seem to be doing the same thing the Panthers are doing, going youth by getting rid of Gerald Wallace.
Going cheap.
Going cheap, youth and cheap, and trying to do this whole rebuilding for tomorrow type stuff. How is this going to hurt the city, the city's teams?
It's frustrating. It's like it becomes a cycle. Like the owners of the 2 franchises say, we're not making as much money as the bigger cities, so we're going to cut back on payroll, which leads to less performance on the field, which leads to less revenue. So it's like a downward cycle that we need an owner, to take a note from Mark Cuban and say, like, I'm going to spend the money because I want to win, and then let the revenue come after that. Not, I'm just going to worry about the bottom line, and if we don't win, I don't care.
Yeah.
I think that's been the whole NBA's approach, though. We spend the money to win, but now we're in the discussion of lockout because of money.
Yeah.
I apply the whole. It's funny that all sports are locking out. All the 3 majors
it seems
are
like
in the lockout.
The 2 majors, like I said, I don't know. I haven't been reading too much on the baseball, what their revenue, their financial contracts.
It's probably just because they're in the middle of a deal.
Yeah.
It's when their deal comes up.
That's
They'll hear
exactly
the exact same thing.
That's right.
The NHL, of course. I don't know what their deal is either, how long that's going to last or whatever the case may be, but they seem to be, like I said, hurting a little bit themselves. They'll probably get a new TV contract coming up with Comcast probably within the next, by spring.
There's hockey on TV?
There's hockey on TV, surprisingly enough. We don't see the Hurricanes play, but there's hockey on TV.
Yeah,
they got a pretty good deal.
And they're good.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting. I've watched a couple of games, especially last year, which I wish we were in the studio before, back in January, because I thought one of the top 5 games I ever saw was last year's Olympic gold medal game between U.S. and Canada. That was a great game.
It was a good game, surprisingly so.
Yeah, the Canadians won, but you know, they'll get all their
We
rewards. in
we
maple
got
syrup.
the first one.
Yeah, we got our they
Yeah.
got their reward in maple syrup. What do you think about what did you think about the Super Bowl this year?
Oh man, the Super Bowl was great. It was the awakening of the sleeping giant in my mind. It was
Green Bay
the changing of the
Packers.
guards and you know all that good stuff going on. It reminded me of the Steve Young, Joe Montana's out of the way. Steve Young's
Do
turn.
you think it's going to be that sort of domination maybe by that team? I know they're a good team and they have been for a while.
No.
Yeah, I mean the NFL is so tough to dominate,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I mean I really enjoyed the Super Bowl. It just made me feel like everything was right with the world. That Big Ben Roethlisberger went down, his first ever Super Bowl loss, karma paying him back, and then Aaron Rodgers, who had to go through an ordeal that you wouldn't wish upon any athlete.
Yeah.
You know, being in the shadow of Brett Favre, sitting on the bench
First time
for
we
2 or
mentioned
3 years.
Brett Favre in a while.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Yeah.
He's gonna play for the Panthers this year. Watch, you'll see.
Golly.
Press conference coming up right here on Charlotte Sports Today. Brett
Yeah,
Favre.
I'll overturn this table right here. You have to do it. I think that'll wrap it up. They're giving me the finger over there.
Which finger?
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that off here.
Okay. Good.
Thanks for watching our web presence, our web episode for Charlotte Sports Today.